Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another interview segment on the Stream Stand. I'm here with Morgan Walbridge, an accomplished vibraphonist, composer, and arranger. We're here with Karen and myself, and let's get into it.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
It's so good to see you.
I know I'm excited to
Hello.
be here today.
Last time um, I checked, you were in Rochester. Are you still there right now?
Yep, hanging in Rochester, kind of just lingering till hopefully I can get a vaccine here in New York.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So let's start with like your musical upbringing in like your early developing years. And do you have any memories that kind of stick out as far as music that influenced you later in life?
Hmm. I would say early on, mostly a lot of just dreading my piano recitals. Listening to whatever music I could find at the time. I remember I had this thing called do you guys know what a juice box is? They're like these weird
What's
little
that?
toy MP3 players. Um, yeah, I would just be listening to Avril Lavigne, just chilling out, and that was about it. Though. Those were my early years.
Was that the kind of music you liked as a kid?
Oh yeah, I was also really into the song "Fool in the Rain" by Led Zeppelin,
Hmm.
and Maroon 5. Those are my jams.
The only thing I can think of that would be, I guess, close to one of those things was the little clip things, the keychains that you would like. I don't know. I'm like old. Um, the little like it was like I don't even remember what they were called, but you'd get these little chips and you'd like have to insert them in the little thing and they would clip and then it would play music, but it'd be like a few seconds, like not even a whole song.
I'm
No
envisioning like
idea.
a Tamagotchi when you say that. That's the only like.
I have no idea. It was really popular in the thousands.
Okay.
So obviously you're from Rochester.
Mhm.
Um, what kind of resources did you have growing up there, artistically, musically, that kind of gave you that outlet you needed to, I guess, become a musician?
Yeah. Rochester is definitely a great city for music education, especially because we have, Eastman here. Definitely attracts a lot of great educators to our area. So I was really fortunate, being a kid, my parents got me into piano lessons there at Eastman. Um, and then also in the city, I know, Ben, we have our Rochester Jazz Festival here, which also brings a lot of great artists to town and always is just like a really exciting time of year. Um, just has great energy in our city. So there's definitely a nice little music scene up here in Rochester.
That's great. And you used to work at the festival, right?
I did a little volunteer intern stint at the Jazz 90.1 radio station here. So I was able to meet, I remember meeting like Christian McBride, which was really cool, Brian Blade. So I was like a nice little jazz fangirl when I was in high school.
That's awesome.
Do
Yeah.
you think that experience influenced you coming into college?
Yeah, for sure. Do you mean just being around that festival?
Yeah.
Definitely, I would say so. Just being around live music was something I really wanted to do. I mean, being here in Rochester, like I said, we have that festival and it's great. But unfortunately, it is like 10 degrees here for most of the rest of the year. So um, it was nice to come down to Philly where there's, a little bit more going on year round.
Cool. And we will definitely talk about Philly in
Yes.
a little bit because I know that's a huge part of your life. Um, so in the beginning years of you becoming a musician, like which instruments did you start with, and how did you end up with vibraphone?
It's been a journey. I started on piano. My older brother is a pianist. I always just wanted to do everything he was doing. So I started on piano. Um, and I think at some point I just was like, he's 4 years older than me. I'm never going to be as good as him at this thing. So I decided to, find something of my own, which landed me on the drums. played drums through high school and early undergrad, while playing a little bit of mallets through band and all that stuff. But unfortunately, there's sort of like a stigma around mallet percussion. It's not necessarily seen as like a career instrument as much as more common instruments might be. So I had never really considered it seriously until I ended up at the University of the Arts in Philly, and I met my teacher Tony Maselli, who inspired me to just sort of go for it. And it's just been my focus for the last 3 years or so. I ended up switching my major over to vibes when I was a junior in my undergrad.
From drums, right? From
Yes, from drums.
Gotcha.
I originally was a drum set major, but I was just sort of missing that harmonic component to things. There's no classical program at my school, so I was just playing jazz drums.
Hmm.
No real place for mallet percussion aside from vibes. So luckily, I had Mr. Tony Maselli there.
Yeah, I think like I knew you through that process of switching, a kind of ish,
Yeah,
and like you learned vibes so quickly, like to like such like a professional level. It was like unbelievable. It was amazing. You have like for those of you who don't know, Morgan has ridiculous ears. Like she can figure out anything like instantly. So it was a very natural. It seemed like a very natural pick for her, from an outsider perspective.
yeah,
And
yeah, definitely. I would say that that harmonic side of things is what sort of drew me over. And not to mislead people, I did play mallets, through high school and everything. But there's just this thing with vibes where, especially being in big band, it's sort of just that thing that they stick you on when it's not your turn to play drums. So, but yeah, luckily, eventually, I made my way back, so it's all good.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So at what point did you like know for sure that music was going to be your thing? Because I know your older brother influenced you quite a bit, but like at what point you were like, this is totally my thing too. I want to be a musician.
I really don't know. I don't remember a time when I considered anything else. It was just always the path that I felt like I was supposed to go on. I was always in music lessons and all my free time. And yeah, I just never really considered anything else. I'm not totally sure, to be honest with you.
That seems like
Is
a
there
really
like
common answer. Like
Yeah.
everyone we ask.
is there like could you see like in another life, like if you were to play a different instrument, like what that would be?
I would have definitely been a bass player. I don't know why I was not a bass player. The coolest instrument, and it's very, I don't know. I just wish I was a bass player. I feel like it was what I was meant to play in another life.
So with the vibes though, I know like the approach to harmony on vibes is a little different versus piano and something like guitar. Do you tailor to one of those instruments a little more than the other?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Being that my background was a piano player, I think that's where I was coming from at first. But the more I listened and the more I studied, I think um, guitar is just a little bit, I mean, they're in a very similar harmonic range. And I think, yeah, to answer your question, I definitely take more of a guitarist approach at this point. But I definitely bounce back and forth all the time. I love listening to solo guitar and solo piano. Both are really interesting to listen to and to think about how to bring those type of sounds to the vibes.
For sure. All right, so I guess like what drew you to Philly? Which is like the big question here. After you took over Philly, like what caused that spark to like go there?
I also don't know. Honestly, I kind of just came on a whim. I had a teacher that knew about the University of the Arts. Um, so I just, again, just on a whim, just decided to audition there. I didn't really know anything about the school or the city. Um, but just when I got there, I just really liked the vibe of the city. It's very open-minded and very familial. Um, so yeah, I just felt pretty welcomed there, and I'm glad I stayed.
Were you looking at other schools in Philly too? Like was Philly your destination and the schools were just an accessory?
It kind of was the other. I don't even know what my thought process was. I feel like I was asleep during my college audition process because I was not thinking about like anything. But
Mhm.
I auditioned at UArts and I auditioned at one school up here in upstate New York. So those were sort of my options, and the school more so brought me to Philly, I would say.
Do you have any like artistic influences that you would talk about? Anybody that inspires you or anyone that you might look to when you're in like a little rut or anything like that?
Yeah, I would say um, my number one influence would probably be Esperanza Spalding. Um, all of her works like especially this last album that she had put out, but all of her works in general. Um, I just love the way that she's, sort of genreless, if you will. She just sort of follows whatever sounds and ideas it seems like come to her, and I think that's really amazing, and I love that type of freedom. So I try to approach music with a similar sort of concept. Yeah.
So, do you have anything, any projects you're working on right now? It could be literally anything, like Fiverr related, or like your own stuff, or stuff people from Philly hitting you up to do things. What do you have going on right now that we can be excited for?
Okay. Yeah. So I have a couple different things going on. I've been doing a lot of remote recording, both for friends in Philly and on Fiverr, as you mentioned, which is a freelance platform that I sort of came to over the last year. So I've been doing a lot of recording work through there. Um, and also, I'm just in the process of writing for a solo EP that I'm hoping to have out by the end of the year. Been spending a lot of time alone with my vibraphone in the last year, so kind of just want to put a button on all that time with this EP. So yeah, keep an eye out.
Oh, for sure. Honestly, with the Fiverr thing, I've actually I don't know many musicians that are on Fiverr, and you've had so much success with it. Can you talk a little bit about your experience with it and how you came to it and how you've ended up becoming like the Wizard of Vibraphone on Fiverr? Fiverr, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So I started on Fiverr last May. I sold my marimba so I could buy some recording equipment, and I wasn't really expecting too much out of it. I think my first order I got on there, I asked a composer that I know to buy from me so that I can get a review posted. But since then, it's been really awesome just working with people from all over the world, doing a lot of different types of projects, all different genres, all sorts of things. Like yesterday, one that I did was like an audio logo. So somewhere you call somebody's business and you hear my vibraphone like hello, you thank you for calling, whatever. So yeah, it's been cool doing um, different projects with a lot of different people through Fiverr. I'm really thankful for that platform.
I guess I'm a little bit more interested in the Fiverr conversation, mainly because I haven't heard much about musicians using the platform. Mostly I hear about it in regards to like graphic designers and people like filmmakers, people like that. So I was just wondering if you had any, I guess, like advice or tips that you'd want to share with the public, maybe to other musicians listening in right now on like how they could get started on that platform.
Yeah, I think part of it for me was being a little bit lucky, playing more of a niche instrument makes it a bit easier in some senses. But a couple tips I would say: be very uh, responsive. You got to come at it as sort of like a customer service sort of standpoint. Even if somebody contacts you, even just to say like, "Hi, thanks for contacting me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can." Whatever. Um, and yeah, also just doing what you can right in the beginning to try to accumulate some ratings. Like I had mentioned, I asked a friend to buy from me. Not encouraging you to be fraudulent or whatever, but like whatever you need to do to get those first couple of reviews up there, and then um, once you have a couple up, they sort to sort of come in after that once you've established yourself with just a couple of orders off the bat.
Awesome. Thank you.
So you said this past year, obviously, you've been spending a lot of time with your vibraphone. I think a lot of that has to do probably with the pandemic and just like everyone isolating themselves. And, a lot of musicians are in the same place, in the same mindset. So can you talk a little bit about how COVID has like affected what you're doing musically these days and what you're doing to push through these difficult times?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of that ties into the work I've been doing with Fiverr, but just in general, COVID has forced me to be a lot more introspective with my music and my creative process. I really enjoy being like a side person and helping people with their projects as well, which is mostly what I was doing before COVID. I would have never considered solo vibes to be something I could really dig into. Um, so yeah, it's sort of just forced me to figure out what type of stuff I like and where I really want to go myself. Um, and yeah, to push through these times, just keep waking up, watch some reality TV. I've been doing a lot of that. Go for a walk, get some fresh air. It's really nice out today. I'm gonna do that when we're done here. I'm excited.
Yeah, I find it especially difficult just because, being in the creative industry, to feel like you have to do something spectacular every day just
Yes.
because we're musicians and like we basically have signed on to this religion that makes us practice every day to improve our craft, but sometimes it just you don't feel inspired and you gotta you gotta watch some reality TV and just wait for it to come back.
Oh yeah.
um yeah,
Yeah, the pressures.
Yep. Nothing like some Love Island to get your creative energy going.
for sure. Do you have you found any like besides reality TV like any other interests popping up for you through COVID?
Yeah, other than that, I've just been doing a lot of yoga and stretching. I mean, I've always done that, but I've started to do it as a daily practice, and I think that's been really helpful for me. But other than that, no, I don't have any cool hobbies that I picked up, unfortunately.
Are there any like musical skills that you've been able to pick up since COVID, like maybe on your instrument or through technology?
Yeah, the technology portion has been a big part of this time. I hadn't really done any recording work prior to COVID. I took a couple classes in my undergrad. Um, so yeah, just the process of at-home recording. I also recently got a mallet cat, which is a MIDI mallet instrument. So I've been learning more about that and how that instrument works as well, which has been fun. Yeah, it's definitely a great um, creative tool. I mean, it's when I explain it, I kind of say it's like a vibraphone, but as like a keyboard or whatever. But it's really its own instrument. There's a lot to learn on how to handle it. But at the very least, it's great for coming up with creative ideas just because of all the sounds that you have at your fingertips with it. So really enjoyed checking that out.
Nice. So speaking of your compositions, do you have a process for it, or is it kind of different every time? How does it usually work for you?
It's a little different every time. It involves a lot of listening, listening to other musicians, pulling out stuff that I like from artists that I like listening to, and also just trying to, kind of listen to myself, carving out time every day to just play freely. And if I stumble across something, I might bring it to the piano or try to sing, and just kind of pass it around from different perspectives and see where it goes.
No, I was just gonna ask like if there's anything because I know we've talked to some people about like environment and just like, maybe practices that they've done in the past, like things that they've pulled out from the past, like old compositions that maybe they've revived or reused or things like that. Is there anything that as of recent that you've discovered about yourself within your composition process?
Hmm, good question. I mean, I have done a lot of that recently, sort of digging through old compositions. I think that's a great way to find inspiration because you can, even if it's like a chord progression that you wrote a while ago, there's always different ways and different things you can do with that. So I think that's a really valuable practice, going through your old compositions and repurposing old ideas is a great way to come up with new things for sure.
So you kind of talked a little bit about your education in Philly and your yeah, I can't speak, and your upbringing in Rochester. I was wondering if maybe you'd like to talk about your experience as a woman in the jazz scene and maybe any advice or, just words of wisdom that you'd like to give to other women who are currently breaking into the jazz scene.
Definitely. So as far as my experience goes, um, I was very fortunate to have a female drum set instructor through my high school years. So it wasn't something that was super on my radar until I started my undergrad. Being one of two female instrumentalists there, definitely had its fair share of challenges, I would say. Um, Being that jazz education and jazz in general is very social, so there's a lot of challenges that have come with that experience. But What I would say as some advice is just in general, just be kind to yourself. Try not to take things too seriously and listen to yourself. And I mean a lot of things by that, but mostly I mean trust your instincts and trust your ears and listen to stuff that inspires you. Just having role models in place, making an active effort to make sure that the students are seeing, strong women in their education is important, and doing your best to, uh, yeah, I, sorry, I don't have a super developed answer to that question because there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a ton.
But yeah, I would say for me, having a female role model early on was so key because the teacher to student relationship is so huge in jazz, especially. So she was able to open the door for me in a lot of ways. So just making sure that there's opportunities available for people to form those kinds of bonds, I think is really important.
Yeah, I think you're touching a lot on the fact that like representation really does matter.
Hmm.
And as you just mentioned, like you had a female drum set instructor, which like for me is unheard of. I don't see very many female drummers. So it's really nice that you were able to have somebody who looks like you literally doing the thing that you're doing.
Hmm.
Um, and now you're playing the vibes, and you don't really see a lot of people playing the vibes. So even that in itself is a greater representation.
Yeah, I think I didn't know people really played vibes, period. So I hope that, we see more people that look like me and more people that just want to play vibes in general because it's a great instrument.
I think it's catching on. Everybody's like figuring out that it's like the thing to do.
Oh yeah, vibes are just
I
wait.
played vibes once in
Oh yeah,
marching band for high school.
I love to see it. We're gonna take over the next couple of years.
And are you doing any teaching at all right now?
Not right now. I have done some drum set teaching in the past, and I really enjoyed it. And I hope to get back into it when things are a little bit more normal. But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely enjoy teaching and working with young people for sure. Really, right now, I'm just looking forward to getting back down to Philly and, getting back to some semblance of routine, playing with other people. Um, yeah, just doing normal person things. I can't wait to go eat in a restaurant. I can't wait to get my hair cut. Really looking forward to that. Miss my hairdresser, Natasha.
Shout out Natasha.
She's so wonderful, and we have the same birthday, so it's pretty cool.
Oh, wow. Well, Morgan, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us today about your musical journey and the essence that is Morgan Walbridge. Um, Thank you, Ben, for moderating along with me in this process. Y'all can check out Morgan through our website, through our social media. We'll be highlighting some of her stuff. And don't forget to donate to the Artist Fund.
Thank you guys.